Hello, everyone. I'm Peggy Northrup, Chief Content Officer of Radivision and host of Chiconomics. Welcome to season 2 of our series celebrating women founders and CEOs who impress us and inspire us with their superpowers. Among them, persistence, a spirit of collaboration, and creativity. I'm so excited to be here today with Fran Meyer, a serial entrepreneur who is now the CEO of BabyQuip, the fast-growing baby equipment rental company that is making traveling parents' lives so much easier. Prior to joining BabyQuip, Fran led TrustE, now TrustArc, the leading privacy trust mark. And before that, she was co-founder and general manager of the first and most successful dating platform, Match.com. We're going to hear stories about that. You will live up to that, I hope, Fran.
You
She
bet.
has been an active advisor to startups and has been especially generous with women entrepreneurs. So, Fran, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom with our audience.
Thanks so much, Peggy. Nice to see you again as well.
Great to see you. So first, I want to talk about BabyQuip. I am triggered by memories of my own self dragging my toddler around the airport with the stroller and the baby seat. And at some point in your travels, the whole pile of luggage falls down around you and you're in the airport weeping. So, but what attracted you to this particular category?
Well, first of all, I know your pain, and it's great to solve a problem that is so painful because people are highly motivated to find a solution. And younger people today, young parents today, they want to travel. They want those Instagram moments, and we're making it easier for them to do that. Peggy, wait, 10 plus years ago, I was living in San Francisco. I was renting rooms in my house, top floor of my house on Airbnb, and subsequently bought a couple of vacation rental homes in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I'm coming to you now, and which was my hometown. And I was making good money doing gig economy. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? And if you're in San Francisco in 2012 and 13 and so on, you're at ground zero of a lot of things that are changing.
Right.
And within months of buying my house, I was renting on Airbnb and thinking about what businesses are going to emerge to address this new way families are traveling or people are traveling, as well as this whole gig economy thing, which, went from, okay, yeah, I have a little side job to, oh my God, I've got a great side gig.
Right.
And I was advising at Women's Startup Lab.
Right.
And a gal from Santa Fe, as it happened, came in and she started, it was then called Baby Airge, a baby gear rental service in Santa Fe, and was doing like $30,000 a year.
Wow.
And Santa Fe is tiny. I mean,
Yes.
It's not Anaheim or Orlando for that matter.
Yeah.
And as I looked at it, I didn't see any national competitor. And I also didn't see anybody really focused on trust and safety. And I know from my experience at Match and also at TrustArc, trust and safety in brands, especially when you're dealing with kids, super important.
Exactly.
And so we took the plunge and started the company in May of 2016.
Amazing. I love this idea. And like I say, I wish you'd been around when I was traveling because
We hear that all the time. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And the Airbnb thing that's the way we like to travel too. We like to go someplace, rent a house, and you don't have to feed the kids breakfast at a restaurant. For heaven's sakes, it's like taking toddlers out to a restaurant is just such a nightmare. So it makes it so much easier. Well, I want to ask you also, what's the through line for your jobs? I mean, you were at Match, and then you were at TrustArc, and now BabyQuip, and it seems like 3 completely different sectors.
Peggy, between Match and TrustArc, I was at women.com, one of the first content for women sites on the internet. Then I was at Blue Light, which was an e-commerce site with Kmart and SoftBank and Yahoo. And in those roles, I was chief marketing officer, right? I feel like my superpower or the common thread is building trusted brands.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm real motivated by building trusted brands because I think they really make a difference. And prior to my internet career, I was at Clorox Company and AAA. So, you know, I really have been a founder and a CEO for a while, but my strengths really come from a deep marketing background.
Right, right. So we do like to talk about women's superpowers here and the special qualities that women bring to the entrepreneurial world. I mean, yours is building trusted brands and focusing on that. What other qualities do you see? You advise so many women founders. Are there women founders that you see who have something in common that make them successful?
Well, it really bothers me that women get such a small amount of venture capital.
Yes.
It's like 3% and really hasn't budged.
Yeah.
And there's just no way that women only have 3% of the good ideas. And there's no other explanation really than extreme bias.
Exactly.
I run into women entrepreneurs all the time who are solving a problem that they really know deeply. And it's something that they think about, they experience. Maybe they're coming from corporate world where they led a security function or something like that. And now they know that they have a better solution or they have insights into the market. I mean, early on when I was raising money for BabyQuip, I would actually get these guys who investor types who would say, well, how come nobody else has done this before?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? You need a guy with a hoodie first to validate the opportunity? Come on,
Yeah.
get over it.
Yeah. Did any of them tell you though, because this is what we have been hearing in these interviews, did anyone say, well, my wife doesn't have that problem?
Actually, some of the guys did say that they had to schlep all the gear.
Oh,
So,
good. Oh, good.
but I think they underestimated the size of the market,
Mm-hmm.
and I think every year that we're posting really good, strong growth numbers, it sort of like, oh, there might be actually something here. Yes, duh, there is.
Yes. Yes.
You know.
Yes. Well, and that notion of, women only getting 3% of the venture money and they certainly don't have 3% of the good ideas.
Right.
That pattern matching problem. What I find fascinating is all the research that we have seen shows that women-led companies beat the market on basically every other measure. Once they get going, the only measure where they fall behind is on getting venture money.
Yeah, and the cost of that alone, though, is pretty critical. So, for example, other stats show that not only do we get less money, if we get money, we get less money, okay? And then on top of that, we give away more equity, okay, for that money that we do get. And I have run into more than one or many companies that are undercapitalized to the opportunity. And being undercapitalized means that, no wonder why we do better. We can't even take big risks. Right. Because God forbid, you don't have enough money and you spend it all. So maybe it works out okay because, but I think my belief is it's not a good idea. We should have more capital. We should have the ability to make mistakes, do some pivots, try out new things. Some of them, of course, won't work, but some of them might work tremendously well. And that is what venture capital is all about.
What is it exactly that drives you to help so many women?
I think I'm driven to help women entrepreneurs because obviously I'm one myself, but also I see things again and again, even things I sometimes do that undercut success.
Right.
And it's simple things. I'll give you one example. I tell women this all the time. Well, I had an entrepreneur. She's doing an investor letter. It's 5 paragraphs long. In the 4th paragraph, she says she's changing the name. She gives all the reasons why she's changing the name. And I emailed her back and I said, man, you buried the lead.
Yes.
And then I said, let me ask you, what would a guy do? And he'd write a 2-paragraph thing on the name change. He wouldn't spend 3 paragraphs justifying why it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when women especially over communicate with their investors or prospective investors, unfortunately, there's guys on the other side of that email chain, and they see it as insecurity.
Interesting.
Okay.
Right. And
Right.
we see it as what we always do, which
Yeah.
is
We over
communication's
deliver.
our jam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and even that simple question of asking yourself, what would a guy do, kind of can refocus, you know?
I love that. I love that. Well, I want to ask you, Baby Quip is now a family business because you're working with your son. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. My son Joe joined in 2017. He was 5 years into working at Accenture at the time,
Mhm.
and he was looking to do something new. And the gal who started the baby gear rental business here in Santa Fe, you know, startups aren't for everybody. So she quit, and I called up my son. I said, "Well, Carrie left." He goes, "Oh, I'm in."
Excellent.
And this is great. I mean, you know, it doesn't happen. There's not a lot of mom son
I'll
combos out
say.
there, you know.
Yeah.
Um, he has a deep technical background and experience. Um, there's some rules, like I could no longer call him Joey. It was Joe.
Right.
At work,
In a meeting. Yeah.
at work he calls me Fran.
Mhm.
Okay, and even sometimes outside of work, I
Mhm.
can't micromanage him.
Mhm.
Right? You know, that's just not good for the family. But I think even the team knows that, you know, he doesn't get any special perks, and really I think the success is in the success of BabyQuip. Our platform is really easy to use. Um, it's always on. You know, we've
Mhm.
made lots of improvements over the years. Looks like nothing like it did back in 2017. Really fun time though is we did Shark Tank together.
Oh, yes. Tell
And
me
that was,
about that.
oh, that was great because first of all, it was much more fun to do it with my son. I
Yes.
mean, just absolutely much more fun. And he took care of a bunch of the stuff, so I didn't have to. Like we had to rent a pack mule. So you could say on Shark Tank, you need a pack mule to carry all this
Did
gear.
you literally have a pack mule come
We
into
had
the
literally have a pack
studio?
mule. Yeah.
Okay, we're
And
gonna
a
have to get a
trainer
video of that.
and a animal protection person,
Yes.
you know.
No animals were harmed in the filming of this
Yes,
Shark
yes,
Tank.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
So
awesome.
that was a lot of fun, and it aired on March 6th, 2020. Think about that
Think
date.
about that. Oh, I remember that date very, very well because
Yeah,
I was starting a new job, a live events business job, and
that
that
was
was
it.
an intense time for all of us. Yeah.
Right. So we got through the pandemic. That was the last party I had for a long time.
So, family businesses, though, I grew up in a family business, and I know that sometimes there's crying. Is there anything that has been like where you and your son have been at loggerheads, or it did establishing those rules?
Those rules really did kind of make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, and every year I certainly give him the opportunity to say, "Hey, it's time for me to move on."
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think he likes it. He's not a dad, and
Mm-hmm.
but when whoever marries him, he's going to know everything about baby gear.
Put it in your Match.com profile. Um,
Yeah.
so actually, let's talk about Match.com because I've heard you tell the story before about the beginnings of Match.com, and it's an example of how important it is to have women in the room when you are designing products that women are going to use. So would you tell your Match story?
Oh, I have a lot of match stories, but I think I know
Tell
where
you
you're
know the
going.
one I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so Match.com, I joined in late 1994, and it was a very small team. It was actually called Electric Classifieds, and the idea was to get classified advertising from newspapers onto a platform. And this is before eBay, and this is before Craigslist. Okay, so very early on. Match.com was only to be sort of a proof of concept. And around that time, I was living in Oakland, working in San Francisco, saw the internet for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my God, I have to be part of this." You know, I have to remind my kids sometimes that, like, the internet happened.
Yes. Right.
You know what I
There
mean?
was a day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Where?
it happened,
Yeah.
and I really want to be part of it. And so I connected with a business school friend of mine, Gary Kremen, or he reached out to me. He wanted somebody with marketing experience, and I had been at Clorox and also AAA, and doing brand work. And so he invited me to check it out. And honestly, I had to like deliver pizza one night and Chinese food another night to convince them to bring me on the team. And I really wanted it. I could see how it was going to be very different. And almost from the beginning, we had the strategy that to succeed, we had to attract women. And mid 90s, women were not on the internet to the same level as men. But also, the strategy is if you get the women, the men will follow.
Mhm.
And while there were online personals or online dating sites, none of them really sort of incorporated brand values and good targeting and all of that.
Mhm.
So I think having a woman on the team, given that that was a strategy, was absolutely critical. And a couple of things that I take credit for, and there's more, but one was, and I'll never forget it, the engineer comes into my office. What are the weight ranges we're going to use to match on? Now, remember, in the mid 90s, there were not photos. Okay.
Right.
So our initial questions had a lot to do with how do you look,
Mhm.
right? I mean, later we added photos on, and I said, no, 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 no. We're not going to do the weight question. We're going to do body type. And to this day, I have not seen any dating site ask you how much you weigh.
Thank heavens for Fran Meyer and
Right? I
her
mean, come
sticking up
on.
for women everywhere.
Exactly. And then I think the other one that was still something that is part of dating sites now. The initial idea was to charge per connection.
Mm.
And again, I kind of thought women don't like that. And I had just worked at AAA. I was head of membership.
Mhm.
And I really understood that membership is super nice. You know,
Yes.
it's nice from a business model standpoint. You can really do a lot of interesting things with cross sells and upsells and terms and things like that. And and also it conveys a bit of exclusivity
Right.
or specialness
And community,
and
right?
community.
Yeah.
Right, right. So I advocated for a membership model, and that's what we launched with. It was $3.95 a month or something like that, discounted if you signed up for 3 to 6 months. I was looking at some websites or some apps.
Yeah.
It's the same.
So that's a wonderful story about Match.com. I just love that story. And of course, that membership model is now everywhere.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's something that you really brought into the internet business. I love that. So I wonder if I could ask you, you're advising other women-led companies, you're an investor in other women-led companies. I know you're part of various funds. Can you talk about why you think it's important for women to not just invest and not just become entrepreneurs, not just be customers of women, but actually to invest in other women?
I think it's absolutely crucial. The only way we're going to get that number of 3% of invested capital into women higher, and we should have a goal of at least 25%.
Mhm.
And even if it was 25%, I still say the system's wrong, right?
Yes, right. We are
We have,
50% of
yeah,
the population.
women are out graduating men by a fair bit too.
Yes,
And
yes.
they are becoming more and more the purchasing managers, the contract managers, they're making decisions over real budgets, not
Mhm,
just at home, but
mhm,
professionally. The only way or an important way to solve the problem is to have many, many more wealthy women.
mhm.
You
Right.
know,
Who are focused on not just on philanthropy, which is
right,
what we were brought up to do, right? It was
right,
like, "Oh, you make money now, you can give some of your money away." This
right.
is
But
different.
really, really put their, help women and especially help them early.
Yes.
I mean that, I to to the extent that they can, and we need more wealthy women to engage in this so that these funds that invest in other women can also think bigger about
Yes.
writing bigger checks, about writing checks earlier, about giving the entrepreneur an opportunity to pivot and fine tune and do all of that. And so I think to get women to invest in other women, they've got to embrace that this is part of the solution.
Right.
And they've got to understand, that it may not get the best return right away, but it's a long-term thing, and that they're doing the right thing for the overall ecosystem. And then we need to get some of those entrepreneurs to get filthy rich too, so that they could start and give back as well.
Right. From your lips to the universe's ear.
But Peggy, it's hard to talk about this. I mean, people don't like to talk about wealth, especially when it has to do with women.
I think you're right. There's still I was certainly brought up, you don't talk about money, I mean, it was like such a, that's separate from your family life. But I used to say, no money, no mission. Right. I mean, when I was running nonprofits, no money, no mission. You have to be focused on the money.
Yeah. And we're shy about talking about it,
Yeah.
And I try and get some of my friends to join some of these funds or do some of these things. And it's hard to get them going on it if they haven't been entrepreneurs. But then I have a few that have done it, and they love learning about the companies. And sometimes they have a good idea and they get engaged. And that's fun to see. You can really have an impact.
Yes. And it's sort of addictive once you start.
I mean, one time I was looking at how much I had invested in different funds and so on. I was like, oh my God, how did that happen?
Yes, I know.
No, sometimes, especially when the market's kind of, but I'm hoping things will start to look up soon.
Yeah. I do want to end by asking you what you're looking forward to in 2024, both for the whole ecosystem and for you and BabyQuip.
So I think this is going to be a pivotal year for BabyQuip. We have very aggressive growth plans. We're thinking about going more deeply into other categories. So we think there's a big opportunity for BabyQuip to expand into some new categories. We're also really focused on Mexico and the Caribbean, because that's where a lot of families are going, although we're international in more countries than that. That's pretty exciting. I probably am going to finally have to raise an A round. So
Wonderful.
It's about time. So that's kind of exciting. Personally, I'm enjoying living in New Mexico. It's real different from the Bay Area. And I'm getting a teardrop trailer.
Oh, I love that.
And we're going to go to some of these fun places.
Oh, wonderful.
So looking forward to doing that.
Well, thank you so much, Fran, for sharing your wisdom with us, and best of luck in BabyQuip. I know you were raising money on Start Engine. Are you going to do that again, or is it an A round?
We will probably do some crowdfunding. We seem to be a company that is well tuned for that. We have a trusted brand name. We have a lot of customers. We have a lot of suppliers. Our BabyQuip suppliers are real big supporters for us. And so I think that will do it.
Excellent. Well, I want to make sure that you tell us about that so that we can talk about it on our various platforms. So, Fran, one last question. I want to ask you, what is it that you're really inspired by at BabyQuip these days?
Peggy, that's an easy answer. We love that families have a better vacation. I mean, that's a good thing. But we have over 2,100 quality providers on our platform. And these are the people who own the baby gear, deliver it, pick it up, clean it, set it up, the whole bit. 95% of them are women. They're mostly moms. They might start out with their own gear, but before you know it, they're buying multiple car seats, strollers, you name it. And we are teaching them how to build a business on our platform. So, of course, we teach them about safety and cleanliness and hospitality, but also on social media, and how to get a Google My Business page, and how to work with Nextdoor, and how to call on hotels and vacation rentals. And we coach them on pricing and all kinds of different things. And that's really inspiring. And they do really well. And every month or so, they celebrate, hey, I've been on BabyQuip and I had my 1,000th order. Wow. Or they talk about how they took their own family to Disney World. And sometimes, I mean, there's been a couple of times where a quality provider will say they left an abusive relationship, but they can do baby quit with their kids. And
Wow.
so it's okay. And
That's so cool.
that's just phenomenal. That's
That is,
really what's inspiring to me.
I love that. I love that you found a way to found a business that is that kind of virtuous circle, right?
Yes, yes,
Everybody in the circle is getting some true value that is not just a transaction,
right,
right?
exactly. Thank
That's so
you.
wonderful. Thank you so much again for being here, Fran. I look forward to seeing you in person and to all of your success in 2024 and beyond.